Today we open our last 2 eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and recap all the eggs so far. So here is the donkey that represented the animal that Jesus rode on into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. The coins that Judas gave Benjamin. The cup that was given to Jesus at the Last Supper. And here are the praying hands that were used for when Jesus was praying in the garden with his friends the night he got arrested. And remember, Benjamin also said a prayer as well. And we have the whip. The whip is what was used to hurt Jesus. And then we have the crown of thorns that was put on his head to make fun of Jesus. Okay, and then we have the rooster. The roosters, remember, Peter denied Jesus being Jesus' friend 3 times before the rooster crowed. And we have the nails because Jesus was nailed to the cross. And then we have the spear. The spear was what poked Jesus on the side when Jesus was dead by the guard. And then we have the cloth that Benjamin found to represent the cloth that was covering Jesus when he died. Okay, so let's listen to the last 2 pages of our book. Early the next morning, Benjamin went to the market for his mother. He used to enjoy the crowds in the city, but now they only reminded him of how everyone had turned against Jesus. He shuffled along without looking up. "It's a miracle," shrieked the girl. Benjamin stopped in his tracks and listened. "Jesus has risen from the dead. The stone's been moved." Benjamin turned and ran from the market and up toward the tomb. Could it possibly be true? Could Jesus have risen from the grave? In his heart, he believed it could be. It must be. He even ran faster. Sure enough, the stone was rolled away. He fell to his knees and thanked God. When he stood, he picked up a sharp piece of broken rock. It must have crumbled from the huge stone. With a joyful heart, he marched back down to town. Jesus was alive. In the market, he met a woman who was his friend of Jesus. "I know the good news," he said. "Jesus is alive." "Yes," she smiled. "It is as the prophet said. On the 3rd day he'll rise. Some of us have even seen him." Benjamin ran home and told his parents. He placed the stone in the box. What a treasure he had now. During the next few days, Benjamin and Eli listened as the disciples shared about how Jesus had appeared to them in various places. Jesus said that all this came to pass just so forgiveness could be preached to all the nations, beginning right here in Jerusalem, explained a disciple. He said that since we all saw these things, now we can go to tell others the good news of his forgiveness. Benjamin smiled. Now he understood that Jesus had forgiven him too, and he wanted to share the good news. He ran home and got his treasure box, and went out into the streets and gathered all of his friends. "Inside this box," he explained, "is a great treasure." The children drew closer and listened with excitement. One by one, Benjamin took out each item. He explained how he got it and what it all meant. "And so you see," he said as he closed the box and looked into their faces, "the treasure is really Jesus. Because of what Jesus did on the cross, we can all be forgiven by God the Father, and the gates of heaven are now open for everyone." They all cheered and begged him to tell the story again. That night, Benjamin opened his box one more time before he went to bed. He examined each item, handled them all with love and care. Finally, he placed the last one back in the box. Then he knelt and he prayed. "Dear God, thank you for letting me find all these special treasures, but most of all, I thank you for sending me the greatest treasure of all. Thank you for sending Jesus, and help me to be a good servant for Jesus. Help me to tell everyone I know about the good news. Amen." Okay, so let's open our last 2 eggs. Okay, so what did Benjamin find that morning that Jesus rose from the dead? Part of the stone that was crumbled next to the big stone in front of the tomb of Jesus. Okay. And the last egg, I know you've been waiting for the last one and see what's inside. Okay, so on Easter morning, Jesus rose from the dead. Okay, so we're going to look what's inside this egg. It is empty. Why do you think it's empty? Okay, so let me read you something real quick. So, when the two women came to the tomb of Jesus, they were surprised too. The heavy stone was rolled aside and the tomb was empty. Jesus' body was not there. Jesus has risen. This was the promise that Jesus made to his disciples at their dinner just a few days ago. So, he rose from the dead, and someday, because he died for us, we can meet him and thank him in heaven. So that is the story of Easter. And the reason why it's empty is because he rose from the dead. And he is a miracle and has opened the gates of heaven for us. So there you have it. Our 12 eggs have been opened. Thank you for listening to the story, and I hope you enjoyed Benjamin's box and the resurrection egg.